Hello, Otafest listeners, and welcome back to our newest episode of the Otafest podcast. I am Jay, and I am joined by the illustrious Nancy and the sensual Angelo.
I'm illustrious.
I am the sensual
Sensual.
Angelo.
Yeah.
Guess what?
You were talking like Captain Kirk there for a little bit. I needed to try to channel that cadence.
Indeed. But guess what?
Eh? Nani?
It's time to call a friend. Kaiji Tang joins Otafest 2025. Down, sword hand, down.
An avid lover of gaming and all things food-related, Kaiji Tang has been working as a voice actor in Los Angeles, California since 2007. In the world of video games, he has done such roles as Ichiban Kasuga from Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Eustace from Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Faust from Guilty Gear, Munehisa Iwai from Persona 5, and Detective Pikachu from Detective Pikachu 3DS. When it comes to anime, you can hear him in such roles as Satoru Goju from Jujutsu Kaisen, Joe from Megalobox, Sanemi Shinazugawa from Demon Slayer, Archer from Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, Tsumugu Kinagase from Kira Kill, Popo from Anohana, The Flower We Saw That Day, and Bill from Beastars, along with so many others. We were debating for 15 minutes how to announce them all before we gave up.
Indeed. He has a properly illustrious career. Please go check him out. Follow Kaiji on Instagram at Kaiji Tang.
I guarantee you, he has voiced a character you love.
Indeed.
He's probably also voiced a character you hate.
He might have even voiced a character you love in an adaptation you despise.
Do you think he's voiced any characters we feel lukewarm about?
No, he's too good for that. Doesn't accept lukewarm roles.
It's all very, very strong emotions here.
Yes.
Very strong emotions.
Indeed, indeed. And do you have strong emotions about Nintendo?
Of course I do. I, as a former Nintendo-year-old, love nothing more than any bad press against Nintendo. I love to see them struggling. I love it when they take the L. You know what I'm saying?
This is no surprise to literally anyone who has ever listened to Angelo on this podcast.
There's no video game company that hates their fans more than Nintendo does.
All right, so if I'm to understand this, they tried to go after a supermarket. A family-run supermarket that had been around for decades.
In Costa Rica, there is a supermarket called Super Mario. The Super Mario Supermarket. If I say it like that, it just makes Nintendo's case stronger, so I won't say it like that again. It has existed for decades. For decades. And you might think, well, so has Super Mario. So has Super Mario. But what happened was, when Mario's son tried to renew the trademark for the business, Nintendo caught wind of it, and they were like, hold on. What is this store calling themselves the Super Mario Store? What's going on here? We can't have any of that. And so Nintendo's lawyers, being charged by the minute, sent cease and desists to a small family-run supermarket.
And let's be clear, the branding looks absolutely nothing like it was game tangential.
There are times where I think there's a restaurant that I don't know if they're still in Calgary, but there's a Mexican restaurant that used to be on Stephen Ave, and it was essentially Mario dressed in a poncho and sombrero. And I was like, I don't know how you think you're getting away with that, but I'm not your company or I'm not your business. Good luck with that when that comes around.
But the naming of the shop is literally because it is a supermarket, so they took super, and the man who ran it was called Don Jose Mario Alfaro Gonzalez. or Mario for short. It just makes sense.
Super Gonzalez Brothers.
Now, what's crazy, there is something very specific about trademark,
Yes.
in that you can only trademark your name in the industry you work in. So, Super Mario, Nintendo owns the trademark for Super Mario in games, in movies, in TV shows, in a
Merchandise.
lot of entertainment, even in certain merchandise. But supermarkets and grocery stores was not. Not at all. An industry that Nintendo does business in. Surprisingly, Nintendo hasn't tried to sell us food yet. Not directly.
On a similar note, something that happened in the NHL recently, because I'm turning this into a
Oh.
Boston sports podcast.
Oh my god, Boston!
Oh my gosh.
The Arizona Coyotes, which used to be the Winnipeg Jets team, but they got relocated to Arizona because there wasn't enough money to keep them in Winnipeg at the time. In the last season and a half or so, they themselves got relocated because they couldn't secure a arena deal for a new arena in Arizona. So they moved to Utah. Now, the whole process was very abrupt and sudden, but Utah's ownership convinced the NHL that they would take it on responsibility for this franchise, and essentially the billionaire owner guy wanted he has his fingers in Utah sports entertainment. Anyways, so when they moved, they did not become the Utah Coyotes. They became the Utah Hockey Club. Apparently, I guess there's not much tie-in with coyotes in that part of the US. So they just decided to call themselves Utah Hockey Club for the meantime. But this year, they started the process for actually getting themselves, like a moniker that wasn't just Hockey Club. And one of the names they tried to use was Yeti, because as people probably don't know that much, because I think Utah is really associated with the Salt Lake Flats, but they actually have a mountain range. One of the initial big names that they really wanted to use was Yeti because they have a mountain range. I think it's part of the Rockies that extends down to Utah. And they got denied because Yeti, the like tumbler cooler company,
Oh.
Oh, them.
yes, they have a lot of merchandise that already exists where a hockey club or any sports team, honestly, would want to have similar merchandise.
What?
They already have their own branded like hoodies and shirts and cups and mugs and all these things. So the US Patent Office shut down the name for a sports team because they would eventually want to merchandise in the same categories as what Yeti, the cooler slash tumbler company, already does. I thought it was interesting.
You know what's funny? When you said Yeti again, I completely misunderstood which company you were talking about. I was thinking the Yeti company that is always like sponsoring Games Done Quick that does a bunch of
Oh,
graphic
okay.
t-shirts. And I was like, why them? But then you said tumblers and I was like, oh, those guys. This is why trademarks are important, people.
Mm.
We're quickly approaching the realization that it's really hard to make a brand of your own that hasn't already been used.
Mhm.
Yeah, for real.
Like, okay, Yeti. I can also think of some very popular microphones named the Yeti.
Yep, I was just thinking that.
Oh, yeah. The Blue Yeti.
Is the Yeti the model or the make?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a model, but not the brand. I think it's Blue who makes the Yetis, right?
And they're now owned by Logitech as well.
Oh,
Oh my.
is that a good thing? I mean, I like Logitech.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a
yeah,
thing.
I feel
That's all
I feel
say.
honestly very lukewarm about that.
All right.
Anyway, my point being that you're gonna start running out of names really quickly
Mm-hmm.
if you're trying to brand anything. So having something named the Super Mario Supermarket is honestly very likely. The name rolls off the tongue. It's a fun wordplay on the word supermarket. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can't just
It's great.
yeah. It's great.
And quite frankly, it warms my heart that they won against Nintendo in court. A small family supermarket won against Nintendo in court. Holy moly.
I don't really understand why they went after it because they're not actually protecting the trademark in that scenario. They don't have an existing line of business in that sector.
So this is actually, I don't blame Nintendo. I'm happy Nintendo lost. I'm very happy Nintendo lost. But I actually don't blame Nintendo in this scenario for litigating. Because one very important quirk of trademark law is that if you don't defend your trademark, you can lose it. Which is something that was discovered by super deep dish Chicago pizza here in Calgary.
But that's just in cases where you have a conflict of like influence, essentially, like in the same sphere of influence. Like if Super Mario Market was maybe a game reseller, there would be an actual problem. But that's why I'm surprised they bother going through it,
Oh, there would
because
be.
it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
This is something where not only does it enforce the rights of the Super Mario Supermarket, it also limits the rights of Nintendo in that market specifically.
So
Quite frankly, because it was a Costa Rican court that decided it, I don't know if it would be recognized or
like
bothered with
mm,
out in the U.S. at large.
that's too bad because I was hoping, maybe Super Mario Market can reach out to us and we'll open up a Canada branch of the Costa Rican market up here.
They could always franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, if Nintendo doesn't do it before they do it,
Yeah.
then they have the right to do it.
Yeah, it's the Barbra Streisand effect. Yeah, they've gotten free publicity over this bad incident.
Exactly. The Super Mario Supermarket can become a worldwide phenomenon.
Exactly.
And everyone can come in expecting Nintendo stuff, and they'd be like, wait a minute, it's just because some guy called Don Jose Mario?
And then Don Quixote will come in and be like, excuse me.
Did I tell you too that we ran across some Mario Karters when we were in Tokyo?
They can't call it that
Oh,
anymore.
really?
Yeah, I'm not allowed to call it that. And they also aren't allowed to dress up like
Yes.
specifically like characters from it. I noticed when we walked past them because they were stopped at every single stoplight that we walked past. And they spent that time taking selfies with their tour guide. But I noticed that they were all dressed up in animal, onesies that weren't specifically Mario related.
Oh, my.
They should partner with Spirit of Halloween, where they put up those costumes, such as like Red Italian Plumbing Man.
Sexy red Italian plumber.
Communist
Yeah.
plumber. Anti-bourgeoisie plumber.
Wow.
As I understand it, the Mario Kart thingy is more of a guided vehicle tour than it is any kind of actual free driving. Like, not even racing, but I don't think they let you drive.
Oh, 100%. Like, they don't even like that. Most of the people there don't even like that these things are allowed on the road.
That's fair, I think.
I think so too.
Quite frankly, I would be livid if go-karts like that were allowed on the roads here. People would die.
I mean,
100%. But,
It's already happening with, people who are on scooters, but yeah.
oh, even just people on feet.
the way I think about it is, and I know Angelo will probably disagree because he had a good time. I kind of think about it the same way with those pedal pub crawls
Ah, there it is.
because they impede traffic quite a bit.
Oh, they absolutely do.
I don't think anyone's gonna
They
die,
absolutely. Oh my god, they impede traffic
Yeah.
so much. The difference there is, in the case of the go-karts, they are so low to the ground. Your head is maybe 2 feet off the ground. Of course, you've got the large flag that people can see, and it's like bright neon orange. I don't know about Japanese drivers. I spent all of like 12 minutes paying attention to the roads. And the rest of the 2 weeks being like, oh my god, look at this beautiful country.
and also pooping yourself.
Oh, there was a lot of that. Jesus Christ, the food poisoning got me bad that first week.
I know you're going to forever hold that against WestJet.
I am. I am going to take that to my grave. I will be like a 98-year-old man, and I'll be ranting to some child about
Back
how
in my day.
WestJet was making me poop nonstop in Japan, and then I'll just get so angry that I'll have a heart attack and die, and that will be my final thought, and it will leave my spirit with unfinished business here on Earth, and I will just haunt all WestJet flights.
But what if WestJet folds before you die?
Then I won.
Okay.
But no, still. Yeah, I just legitimately think that driving those scooters on the roads is inherently unsafe. But yes, they have to be a guided tour.
Yeah.
Because that is the most safe way to do the unsafe thing.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that they probably have a remote shutdown, hey? Like if anyone decides to go like, oh, I'm going to speed ahead or whatever and go nuts, I feel like they have a remote shutdown.
Probably not. I doubt it. Just because they are so simple as to make that a pain in the ass to actually implement.
No, not if it's electric.
And on top of that, I feel like they could just call the cops and tell them what road they're going down, and the cops will be able to pull over that 30 kilometer an hour scooter within like 2 minutes.
Maybe.
They'd be like, you stupid gaijin, you are not supposed to be on this road. Let me see your passport, and you're on the next flight home.
Also, we're fining you several hundreds of dollars.
You're taking WestJet, buddy.
The cruelest way to be ejected from Japan.
Uh-huh. You want to talk about a win for Nintendo?
Yeah, so Nintendo had to really recoup their losses after that loss in court. And they decided to create a 5-foot life-size Gardevoir plushie.
That's a lot of feet.
Okay, so 5 feet exactly, or 5 feet and some inches?
It is 160 centimeters long,
Okay.
supposedly.
Okay, 160 centimeters is taller than me because I am 155 centimeters tall. This Gardevoir is taller than me.
That's wonderful. Oh my god. That's hilarious.
It would make for really adorable photos, probably.
I know multiple VTubers that are less than 5 feet tall, and I think it would be hilarious to make them hold this.
I mean, if they were willing to be personally.
Of course they wouldn't be in the photograph, but I think that would be hilarious. It would be great.
I think it'd be cute. It's like how in the corner of like okay, so my employer's office, you can often find very cozy things adorning random corners in the building, and one of them is one of those gigantic teddy bears. Like,
the IKEA one?
I can sit.
Oh my.
Yeah, I think so. I can sit like in front of the teddy bear and lean back, and it is bigger than me. So you can find one of those, and if I bet you if we replaced one of those with a Gardevoir, or we just like cleared off one of the corners and put a Gardevoir there, it'd be a hit.
It's interesting why they chose Gardevoir.
Yes.
Why do you think they did?
I don't know. Probably the same reason they put out Lucario.
I know the internet. I know the internet, and I don't want to say.
Gardevoir is a good Pokemon to battle with. She's also very good in Pokemon TCG. She's good in the meta.
Yes.
That's fair.
Gardevoir is a beloved Pokemon with a wonderful color palette, a very
She's adorable.
friendly
I'm gonna leave it at
appearance.
that.
Absolutely adorable.
Yep.
And this Gardevoir can be yours for the low price of 49,500 yen.
Oh, that's less than $150.
No, that's $320 US.
Yeah. 49,000.
49,500 yen.
That is $490-ish Canadian.
Oh, I misplaced the decimal somewhere.
Yes, the $320 US. You did misplace a decimal somewhere, and that's okay.
That's still expensive. I'd rather put that towards all of the gear I need at home.
Yeah, I do not need a $300 Gardevoir plushie.
But let's be honest, we're not the target audience.
I don't even need like a $30 Gardevoir plushie. We're not the target audience.
It's true. Oh my gosh.
You know what?
Huh?
There's actually an issue with this. I absolutely could not have that thing in my house Because it is literally human-sized and it has a large bulbous head, in the middle of the night, I would be stumbling around in the dark and I would see its silhouette in the corner. I would literally jump. And this has been an issue before. This
Yeah.
has literally been an issue before.
He
Yeah,
would
it
poop
has.
himself without the assistance of WetJet.
Oh no.
I wouldn't need WestJet. Eons ago, and by eons I mean literally 3 years ago,
Not even.
during the Christmas season, my mother had this Christmas decoration that is about a 2.5-foot tall wireframe angel. And she hadn't put it outside yet. It was like a light up decoration that's supposed to be plugged in outside.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Instead,
All right.
she had it sitting on the kitchen table that was on the other side of our house, but down the hallway from Dio and mine's bedroom. So one day I'm waking up for work. It's like 5 a.m. The house is pitch black. But on the opposite end of the house, I see this vaguely white, bulbous head and body below it. And I'm literally like tensing up. I'm like, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? And I'm frozen for a second until I see that it's also not moving. And I'm shuddering, I'm shaking, going to a light switch, and I flick it on, and I see it's that goddamn wireframe angel. And I'm just like, ooh,
So
You just got Doctor Who'd.
what the hell? Why did that freak me out like this? I thought it was like an alien or something.
many, 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 many years ago. Does anyone remember the original like stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie?
Yes.
Okay. So do you remember what the elves looked like? Particularly
Oh, yeah.
the one who wanted to be a dentist?
Herbie
Sure.
was his name,
They
right?
I think he had a
made
green hat.
They made a wooden carved version of him that looked very, very similar, but he was life size.
Oh, no.
Yeah, same story, but me as a child and at a friend's house with a life size one of those things down the hallway.
Oh, my God. I remember when I was like a young lad, the abominable snowman in that movie actually terrified me.
I remember that, yeah. I could see that.
I was like, oh my God, he's coming on the screen. I have to hide my eyes. Oh my God, he's so scary.
Okay, I have two things I want to speak to on this topic. One was that I recently watched a Instagram reel where it was talking about let's say a peculiarity in the story, because I believe the name of that movie is actually not Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I think it's something like The Island of Misfit Toys or something.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
believe
right.
that was the original title.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyways, there's this whole thing where the guy quickly points out that one of the toys is like supposed to have wings. I can't remember what kind of toy it was, but it doesn't. Like that's why it's a misfit. But then later on, when all the toys are accepted as like they're all good toys or whatever, and Santa bundles them all up in his sleigh, he throws this wingless toy out of his sleigh to be delivered. And I guess the implication was that they just threw them to their little toy death.
Oh no.
I thought it was just really weird
Oh,
that someone
no.
took the time to analyze it, but they're not wrong. It was weird.
Oh no.
Did you ever re-watch that film as an adult and realize that Santa's actually a big jerk?
Oh, he's the
Yes.
worst.
Yeah. He's a
Yes.
huge jerk.
No, he is straight up. He is straight up an absolute jerk to Rudolph until he's like, wait a minute. I can use
Yes.
you.
Yep.
For my operations. Anyways, going back really quickly to what you guys were saying about encountering dark figures in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like both of you, when it comes to fight or flight, you are flight.
Yeah, no, I'm not really here to be.
Yeah, I'm not much
swinging.
of a, okay, hold on. Bayfar's not here, so he can't attest to this, but I certainly, when I am playing scary FPS games, have a surrogate emotion of anger. Anger, not specifically like fight, but definitely
Yeah.
anger.
Like it fuels your actions more.
Well, no, it's because my brain would rather be angry at things on screen than be scared of them. Because that's just like a more handleable emotion than fear. And so Nancy's gameplay style starts getting kind of ragey. And that's the best way I can explain it. But like,
I see.
I think in moments of fear, or at least high stress, high anxiety, probably more of a flight. I don't think I'm much of a fighter.
All right. No, I definitely freeze. I'm not
Mm.
fight or flight. I'm deer in the headlight.
Ah,
Yeah,
you
also that.
freeze.
Now, having that said, I just discovered something,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you two ought to know. So, what Jay said about the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer movie being actually called The Island of Misfit Toys, that is actually incorrect.
Oh, I
It
conflated.
was called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It was a TV special
Oh,
made in 1964.
Oh,
uh-huh.
so I wasn't
There
misremembering.
was, in 2001, a 3D CG adaptation called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Island of Misfit Toys. But
But they're very similar.
going back to the original, it's anime. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Rankin Bass Productions Christmas television special in 1964, was filmed in stop-motion animagic at Tadahito Mochinaga's MOM Productions in Tokyo, Japan.
I didn't know that.
That
I
makes it
didn't know
anime.
that.
With the screenplay written by Romeo Muller and all sound recordings done at the RCA Studios in Toronto,
Oh, cool. I
Ontario.
didn't know there was ties to a Toronto studio.
Interesting.
So not only is it anime, it's also CanCon, baby.
Ooh, nice work.
Let's go.
It is a terrible homunculus of production.
It somehow fueled one of the scariest memories that I have.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, the fact that it was made in Japan kind of explains everything about the abominable snowman's look. That explains why he was so terrifying. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're good at monster design over there.
Yeah.
They have no chill. They will be like, yeah, this will terrify the kids. That'll be good.
It's how we keep them in line, like Krampus.
Yeah.
Krampus.
Yeah.
Oh, what a guy.
That is something I didn't expect to find out today.
Neat.
The thing I was talking about, the reason why I brought up the whole like fight or flight thing was I don't think I've been in that situation where I've ever really been spooked. I have a very low threshold, very high threshold, whichever one, that just allows me not to be surprised.
Haven't you been professionally trained in this?
No, I mean, even as like before that.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't really react very much to like jump scares and stuff. But the reason why I brought it up was because I put myself in your shoes for a minute. Like, what would I do if I had shadowy figure in corner of room at 3 in the morning when I'm groggy? I'm like, I would ball up my fists and we're gonna go
You would throw hands?
throw hands with that Christmas angel or throw hands with Herbie the elf or whatever.
Mom's gonna be so mad that you broke her thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So we have learned two things. Of the three of us, Jay is the only one who is allowed to get the 5-foot Gardevoir.
Ah, yeah.
Because they won't be terrified of it.
Yeah.
And the second thing that we learned is that Jay is a fighting type and will therefore lose against the psychic type Gardevoir plush.
Not if I'm also a psychic type. Then it will just do neutral.
No, you're a fighting type. That's why your fists are coming out.
Nope,
Come
because
on.
you have Gallade, who is also fighting psychic. There's also Metatite and his line.
Oh my god.
We could go. We could do this.
Man.
Not all fighting are weak to psychic. Or there's also the dark fighting types. I learned something recently about dark types, which is in Japan, it's not dark type, it's evil.
Oh. Is it actually? What's it called?
Evil type.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember what the actual word they use was, but it's evil, not dark or darkness that we use. Which is interesting because if you know any of the games and like dark moves, even translated into English, they're like sucker punch. So like things that are like underhanded and sneaky type moves as opposed to like overwhelmingly evil or dark rather.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It is Aku Taipu.
Oh yeah, demon type.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Just another episode of
Today I learned.
Jay knows something completely useless. You're welcome.
Jay knows that dark type are evil type.
Yeah.
Or as the Japanese call them, Aku.
Akuma.
Now I want to watch Samurai Jack.
Yeah, I was thinking the
That
same
sounds like
thing.
something that might happen in our near future. You know what else is also coming up in our near future?
A new season of Sakamoto Days?
Yes, I think. Is there a new season coming soon?
I think so.
I don't know if it's a new season. I think it's just the original season.
Oh, is it just the anime was announced? Because I've never watched it or read the manga. I just heard it was good.
My girlfriend heard about it from her cousin, so we started watching it. It's a fun time. It's about a retired assassin who wants to live. It's basically John Wick.
Oh.
It's John Wick.
It's John Wick.
More wholesome. It's very wholesome John Wick.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, it did just start airing.
Yeah.
Just this season. Okay.
It's about this guy who's a retired assassin, and he just wants to live a peaceful life with his wife and child, and he opens up a supermarket or a convenience store rather.
Cute.
Oh,
That's
my.
incredibly
Yeah.
cute.
There are several isekai anime and fantasy anime along the exact same premise, and this sounds better than every single one.
I think I'll go get my hands on some episodes.
It's severely John Wick coded in the sense that, like, do you remember the first movie where the mobster, like the Russian mobster guy, he's like, he killed 11 guys with a pencil. A pencil!
Yes.
You get the same vibe that this Sakamoto-san is capable of pencil.
Sakamoto isn't just a person. He's not just some jolly, round-faced man with a little mustache. He's a force of nature.
I'm not sure why I specifically saw this ad come up, but do you remember The Way of the House Husband?
Yes, I do.
They made a live action adaptation.
Did they?
And I saw the ad pop up in my YouTube because I accidentally left my Japan VPN turned on from 3 months ago.
Nice.
Oh, damn.
So I saw this little trailer of him, like, trying to take photos of the adorable lunch that he packs for his sweet wife who is on her way out the door to work and forgets it. And then he, like, scoots all the way there on a bicycle and, like, runs across a dude who knew him from his former Yakuza days. And, yeah, hijinks ensue. But apparently there is a live action version of this show now. And I feel like this is hitting all the right spots. So I'm probably going to go watch that, and I'm probably going to go watch Sakamoto Days too.
Nice. I feel like a live action The Way of the House Husband could actually work out.
The little commercial I saw looked pretty good.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be anime.
My biggest complaint about it was that it was just, well, when they made an anime out of it, it was barely animated.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
It felt very storyboarded.
It was, you call it storyboard, I call it PowerPoint coded.
Like, it was still very
PowerPoint
charming.
animation.
Yes. It was basically an animated manga is what it was.
I recall this being a thing.
And while it was very charming, I did enjoy it. It left me wanting more. It really did. And I feel like it's not so over the top that you can't do that in live action. I feel like that's something that does actually lend itself to live action. That's interesting.
It's pretty good. From the bit I saw. They do add a little bit of Arcane-esque or Spider-Verse-esque, like, impact frames to a lot of little things here and there. So,
Okay.
like, when he's busting his ass down the road on his bicycle, they, like, add speed lines and stuff like that to give it a little bit of an anime feel. But
Give it that oomph.
it's a live action show. Anyway, I just thought you'd like to know.
Hell yeah.
Sakamoto Days sounds really fun. I might watch that right after we finish
It's only got like
Cyberpunk tonight.
five episodes so far. So
Yeah. It seems like it's still in a situation where it's easy to catch up.
I could always binge the entire show when it's done too.
True. Oh my god, sometimes just binging a show all at once, it feels so good.
Yeah. It really does. You're not going to get stuck in a free run situation where you got to wait another week for the next episode.
I agree. Yeah.
I need the next episode to be now. It happens so much.
I've never really put much thought into it, but nowadays, mm, like, should more series just put out everything they have, like every season at once?
No. This is a conversation that happens quite a lot, especially with the Netflix model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, my opinion on it is that when you launch an entire season all at once, it has the power to do two different things. If the anime is, or season or piece of media is really, really good, it will have the power when you drop it all at once to take over the cultural zeitgeist, the conversation that everybody's having.
Yeah, that's like Squid Game
for
right
a
there.
solid week, right? You get about 7 days out of it where everybody's like, oh my God, did you watch this? And then it's either you did watch it and you can have a conversation, or you didn't watch it and you are like, stop talking, I need to watch it before we keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with a weekly release, people who don't have the 3 or 4 hours or sometimes more all at once to sit down and watch an entire season of something, they can watch 1 or 2 episodes, get something going, get the vibe, understand what's happening, and they can immediately jump into the conversation. Because there's only like 5 episodes of Sakamoto Days open right now. Within an hour and a half, I can watch all of that, and I can be 100% caught up to everybody else in Sakamoto Days. The other thing is it extends the window of conversation. So instead of being a window of conversation for about a week, you've got people talking about it every single week for about 3 months. That actually gives it time to build up a lot more momentum, to actually feel good. And when you finally get the payoff, when the season ends, when you get the ending of the arc or the ending of the story or what have you, it's a lot more cathartic when you have more friends to talk about to it. As an example, when Heavenly Delusion ended, holy shit, I had no shortage of people to be like, what the fuck did I just watch, and why did they handle that ending so poorly? Literally.
Oh no.
Because it stuck with us, because it had the time to build up that momentum, build up those like brain connections. Dio and I were literally talking about it in the car. We had a 30-minute conversation about how great of an anime it was and how shitty it stuck the landing.
I mean, I feel like that's what happened with Game of Thrones as well. But I guess, see, that's kind of the thing that also you could say is against it. Because if there's 2 reasons I can think of, putting out the entire season. Number one is we sort of live in an age of instant gratification. If people kind of don't get or they're not into sort of drip content releases, then they might just drop the show altogether because they've either forgotten about it or replaced it with something else that gave them that instant gratification hit. And second
Oh,
of all,
yeah.
you might get things like The Sopranos and Lost and Game of Thrones, where there was, for a long time, it was part of the cultural landscape to be in on these shows. And then when they ended poorly, everyone was like, I can't believe I even bothered,
And then everyone could talk about how they couldn't believe that they bothered altogether.
Yeah, and in that case, when you're I feel like the production team for those shows, you're like, I wish everyone forgot,
I have a friend who only just recently watched all of Game of Thrones. Wasn't part of the original, run, wasn't
Hype.
part of
Yeah.
the large group of people that I knew at the time, who all watched the ending around the same time and were able to be very emotional about that ending. And since this friend watched it only recently, I asked what they thought about it, since they watched everything in such a compressed manner. Because, I mean, if you think about it, when we were watching Game of Thrones, there was like, time between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there would be like, what, a
Yeah.
year between seasons?
But he watched all
Yeah.
of it together in like, a span of a month, 3 weeks. And he had significantly less explosive opinions about it. He was very much like, those last 2 seasons should be a case study. I'm really curious to know what happened because and like he kind of went full in on like the technical part of production, like what changed? Was it the director, the producers? Like what happened really truly? And
But were his expectations not already tempered?
probably,
Because he must have known that it wasn't ending well.
I mean, possibly. It could have been possible that, we accidentally spoiled some of that temperament for him. But, like, I think it's really hard not to know about that because something like that has been so frequently referenced in, like, common adult life. Like, you talk about stuff like that with your coworkers.
It's like if somebody who's never watched Star Wars
Sure.
before, going into it, they might not know who Luke is. They definitely know who Vader is, and they definitely know that Vader
Yeah.
is Luke's father.
What?
Just from the cultural references that have been made for
many,
the last
many years.
almost 50
So,
years.
I mean, it's entirely possible that, like, he was kind of set up to temper the expectations around it. But, like,
I'm only saying it because you said he didn't experience the explosive amount of emotion negatively, but I'm also like he must have known a little bit. You can't escape it so easily.
yeah.
And also, once that happens, then you lower your expectations. And once you lower your expectations, things tend to go well in a sense.
Yes, because you're not, setting yourself up for massive disappointment by having hopes and dreams and ideas and opinions of what you wanted out of that show. So, but I think it's really interesting what happens, like to Angelo's point, what happens when an audience marinates over time as a show continues to release. Even if they release the entire season all at once, the release of, individual seasons even is kind of drip fed out, and that's okay. But
that is okay.
despite that,
I'm gonna.
If you keep something on the horizon, you can keep the
Yeah.
conversation going. But I feel like if it's one thing, you drop everything, it kind of stifles the possibility for conversation later on.
I have one last tidbit of trivia for you before we go here.
J
Okay.
trivia.
Yep, referencing Darth Vader. If you didn't know this, so many people, of course, know that Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
But that was a big shock back in the 1970s when that nugget was dropped. But it was not a shock to German audiences.
Yeah, because Vader means father in German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a different.
In case you didn't know.
Which I will also put it to you this way.
My.
It's really funny when you put it in the context of the other Darth names, because you have Darth Maul, Darth Tyrannus, Darth Sidious, and Darth Father.
Darth Father. It was
Oh my
actually common
God.
knowledge that the creator of that whole IP is actually not very good at naming characters.
Yeah, no. George Lucas,
Mhm.
unfortunately, is a hack.
And also, all the Ewoks spoke Tagalog. So if you think that,
Really?
yeah, if you think that the Ewoks were speaking some mysterious alien language, it's just
What?
Tagalog.
That's awful. I can't. What?
Wow.
Hey,
Okay.
this Asian language sounds really weird and foreign. Let's make that the Ewok language. Done.
Yeah, I'm like 90. I'm not fact checking myself. I'm 95% sure it's Tagalog. If it's not Tagalog, I know it is for sure another Asian language.
I feel offended by that tidbit of knowledge, and I
Yep.
need to go and unpack why I'm so offended.
Damn. God, let's go
Okay,
unpack
I'll
right now.
see y'all next week.
All right, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.